Purim Katan is coming. Well, you weren't here yesterday. We talked about it quite some length. Just make sure that the chair, the legs under the chair are stable. Like pull them to the right direction. There's 4 legs. Just sort of. Yeah, we need to fix it up a little. I gotta write myself. Yeah, table could work. Okay. Good morning, Hananel. Do you have this book? Do you have this book?
What is the translation of this Muslim?
Times. Page 309.
309.
309, yeah.
So this would be a really good one to just read all the way through.
Sorry?
This would be a good one to read all the way through.
It's a great book.
Oh, is the executive vice president Emeritus? Right.
Okay, so as we know, Adar this year is 2 Adars, Adar Aleph and Adar Bet. Okay? When is Purim?
Adar.
No, Adar Bet.
No.
Adar Aleph or Adar Bet?
Adar Bet.
Adar Bet. So which one are we in?
Adar Aleph.
Adar Aleph. What day?
I don't know.
It's Yud Aleph. Yud Aleph. And Friday is Yud Aleph. Friday is Purim Katan. That's what Purim Katan.
So everyone dresses up this Friday?
No.
I mean,
You can. You can. We learned yesterday, you weren't here, that the Rama says, Ramoshe Esilis, Ashkenazi Posek on the Shulchan Aruch, he says, the only law really is don't say Tachnun, and don't fast, and don't eulogize. But there's a custom, it's a good thing, to have a little more festivity in your meal. Especially, I think this year, we're all going to practice that because it's going to be Shabbos. 2 days Rosh Chodesh, 2 days, Friday and Shabbos.
What about
Friday, you could also have a bigger meal if you like. What?
What about Purim Gadol?
Purim Gadol is a month from that. The Daled of the second Adar.
Sometime.
No, I don't think so. No. Anyways, but we have an opportunity. We're going to get ready for Purim Katan as if it's Purim Gadol. Because that'll leave us time to get ready for Pesach. Because Pesach we don't have much time for. After Purim, we just have 2 weeks of classes and then you have a break. The Pesach break is very long. So we're going to try in the next week or 2 to finish all the laws of Purim. Getting in the mood, getting ready, and then you're going to have to memorize it. Make sure you have it in your heads. And wait for another 3 weeks until Purim actually comes. And we're going to start learning about Pesach already. Okay, so let everybody open up to page 309. People customarily give charity in the month of Adar in commemoration of the half shekel that each individual will donate to the temple in Adar to fund public offerings. What's the half shekel for? To fund public offerings. Zev, what's the half shekel for?
Half shekel.
What's it for? To fund public offerings. What's the half shekel for?
It comes from the building of the museum.
That's the first half shekel. The first half shekel, right. But after that, in the times of the Mishnah, there was still a mitzvah to give half shekel, even though they had a Beit Mikdash. Every year there was a tax. Everybody had to give half shekel. Why? To fund the public offerings.
Why can't it be like 1 shekel?
About 50 shekels.
Like a whole shekel.
Not 30, what?
Why half?
Oh,
It's very strange.
you tell me.
So the tax they had to pay was 50 shekels a year.
For this, there are other taxes.
Count, how many we can count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
That's true in the desert. That was one way to count the Jewish people. But here the point is not to count them. The point is to fund the public offerings. Why do we have to fund the public offerings with half a shekel, Eov asks?
Half is done by us, half is done by HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Yafeh, that's a nice idea. Maybe you should recognize you can't do it yourself. You have to be part of something larger than you.
Maybe.
But primarily to fund the public offerings. What makes an offering public?
That it is used.
When it's done by the public.
It's done by the public. It's commanded to the public. There's a mitzvah to bring a korban pesach. Who brings a korban pesach?
The public.
No.
Kohen Gadol.
No.
What? Korban? I didn't.
You're not paying attention.
Korban?
Gedaliah's reading. You're reading. I don't know what you're eating. I'm talking to you.
Korban?
I'm not doing anything. I'm
Which
I'm
korban?
Good. Listen up. Who has to bring if they commit a sin on Shabbos? Who has to bring a korban?
The one who committed this.
Who would commit a sin? An individual. Who has to bring a korban pesach? Every individual. Every person in the Jewish people. But who brings the korban tamid every day in the Beit HaMikdash? The Kohen, but it's not his korban. Whose korban is it? It's a public offering. Who brings the musaf on Shabbat? Is it a personal thing? No, it's a public offering. Public offerings have to be brought on behalf of the public. How do you make something on behalf of the whole public?
They have to tax it.
Everybody pays a half shekel. And they take part in this public treasury. When do we collect the monies?
Once a year.
Right. When? Once a year? Nope.
Purim.
When?
After Tu B'Shvat.
Why?
So we remember.
Because
When's the new year? Every year there's a tradition that you have to pay for the sacrifices of this year from this year's donations. The year starts for this issue on the 1st of Nisan, which is going to be in about a month and a half. And so before that, the 1st of Nisan, they have to bring a korban from the new donations, not from last year's treasury. So the beginning, a month before that. What's a month before Nisan?
Shvat.
What's a month before Nisan?
Adar.
Thank you. That's when we start to collect the shekalim, the half shekels from everybody. Let's read that again. Okay, Gedalia, you read. People customarily
give charity in the month of Adar in commemoration of the half shekel that each individual would donate to the temple in Adar to fund public offerings. The best time to give this charity is immediately before Mincha and Tanit, Pastor, so that charity can combine with fast to help one achieve atonement.
Okay, stop. Got it? Hananel, a question? No question. Good. Half a shekel.
Last year,
Wow.
what we did?
We probably celebrated Purim. We probably read the Megillah. We gave half a shekel. We did lots of good things. I don't understand the question.
Why doesn't
Did you come to my house to party? I don't think so.
No.
What's
I
the
have
question?
You have a phone.
I have a fund. Yes. A fund. I have a fund.
To deposit, we are supposed
For converts. I have a fund for converts. Yes. I don't know what you're talking about though. Anyways, you are coming to Mass with Hashem 2 weeks for Shabbos with the whole Machon Meir English program.
With the whole
A Shabbaton.
all
Yes.
the Israelis, all the Russians, all the
English program.
Well, I think you should invite
English
everyone.
program.
It's big.
It's because of guys like this.
You're gonna host people.
I'm going to host 10 people in my house. And 10 people in Michal's house. Another 10 people in a friend's house. Another 10 people wherever we can find. Maybe the park bench.
Well, I think I should stay at your house.
I
You
think
better
so too.
earn it.
I think so.
You
too.
better earn it.
Right.
All right. How much do we give? Do we have to give a half a shekel now?
No.
Why not?
Because we don't have unity.
Because we don't have unity? Hananel, do we have to give half a shekel now or not? No, why not? Zev, do we have to give half a shekel
We
now or
don't have
not?
a
Give me your phone.
table.
Give me your phone.
No.
Give me your phone. Put it over here then.
Okay.
We don't have the temple.
So what?
We don't have offerings,
So what?
so we don't have to put half shekel.
Exactly, we don't have to pay for them. If there's no offerings, what do we have to pay for? However, there is a custom, not an obligation. It's the custom to commemorate the way life happened when we had a temple. And by commemorate, how do we commemorate it?
By donating 50 agrot.
Donating half a shekel. Now, the Ashkenazim say like Yosef. Yosef.
Yeah.
Yosef says, what's a half shekel? It's like a modern day shekel. 50 agorot, it's a half a shekel. That's what the Ashkenazim do. Not because Ashkenazim are cheap. Just because that's good Ashkenazi custom. If you're in America, how much do you give?
$50.
Half a dollar. If you're in India, how much do you give?
$1.
Half a rupee. 50 cents. That's right. That's all you give. Now, there is a custom that says, all right, you guys, what's this week's parsha? What's this week's parsha?
Parashat Mishpatim, no. Teruma.
What's this week's parsha?
That's last week. Oh, very good.
Tetzaveh. What was last week's parsha?
Teruma.
Now, Truma, hey, what does that word mean?
Portion.
Donation. Wait a minute. That was also donation. And you know what the Torah says then? The way the Rashi says that everybody had to give 3 half shekels to donate towards the various parts of the Mishkan and the Korbanot. So you know what the custom is in the Ashkenazi world?
What if people want to give more than
3 half shekels.
What if someone wants to give more than 3 hours?
You can give tzedakah as much as you want, but not to commemorate the half shekel. That has to be a half shekel. If you want, do 3 half shekels.
What if they want to do 300
When?
shekels?
You do that separately, but you've got to do 3 half shekels.
Or like not 1 shekel and then another half shekel, but it has to be like 3 half shekels.
It's best that it's 3 half shekels.
Wow.
Can you afford 3 half shekels?
That's very interesting.
What's the sum total? 3 half
1.5
shekels?
shekels.
1.5 shekels, not so bad. Now why 3? Because you learned it last week's parsha. That in the desert they were 3 different donations, 3 different collections.
That's $1.20.
That's not what happened in the temple. It's a mix. But this is the custom, that we commemorate what happened in the desert, and we give 3 half shekels. Every year, I take 3 half shekels, and I put them into the little plate of collecting. When? When do I do this? We just read it.
Adar.
We just read it.
Adar before
We just read it. You guys don't pay attention.
After Tu B'Shvat.
You don't pay attention. You read it, Gedalia. Did you pay attention? When do I do it? When?
Tanit Esther.
On Tanit Esther. What time on Tanit Esther? Read it. Before Mincha on Tanit Esther.
Before the afternoon prayers.
For the afternoon prayers on Tanit Esther. So I'll explain to you. I'll explain it to you now that you know what we're talking about. The custom is to give that half shekel donation. All right, 3 half shekels. Donation on Tanit Esther Mincha time. And one of the reasons given is, wait, is there somebody else that gives shekels?
No?
To try to destroy the Jewish people, he offers to the king, I'll give you lots of shekels. Haman, in the Purim story, the Megillah. We're about to read the Purim story. We see how dedicated Haman was to what?
To destroy the...
Destroy us.
Wow.
So the Gemara says, we better lehakdim, preface our shekels to his shekels, to show that we're also dedicated. And that our merit of giving the tzedakah will atone for any sins that we have on the fast day, as well together with the fast, and that will absolve us of any danger from Haman. We also gave shekels. Oh, is he the only one that was willing to give shekels? Every Jewish person gets half a shekel. It's 3 if you're Ashkenazi and you're following that custom. Got it? Clear?
What about the Sephardim?
Oh, now we're ready for the other side. How do they do it on the other side? Sephardim don't do 3 times a half shekel.
Only a half shekel.
Only a half shekel. And you know what a half shekel means, though? Wait, is that more lenient or more stringent? Half a shekel or 3 half shekels? Which is more lenient? Which is more stringent?
3 half shekel is string.
3 is more than a half. 1, right? 3 is more than 1. So, who's Machmer? Ashkenazim, right? But now, watch this. You know what the Sephardim give? Only 1 half shekel. But you know what they think half shekel means? Not 50 cents of a dollar, or half of a rupee, or half of a new Israeli shekel.
Let's hear it.
They say you have to give the value of an old Israeli shekel. The old Israeli shekel, which was in the time of the Beit HaMikdash.
Wow.
That was real silver, according to the weight of.
You know, that's doing things properly.
So that's
It
a lot
says.
of money.
It says here. Does it not say the exact amount?
Oh, no.
Usually, it's about.
200 shekels? 500 shekels?
I can tell you exactly. There's a website that tells you exactly how much the value of a half a shekel is in. It's a certain weight of silver, and the weight of silver, the price of silver, fluctuates. So there's a website which every day takes the price of silver. Chatzi shekel.
No, I didn't see that. That's not
Shovi hayom.
Not good.
And the answer is 14.6 grams of silver. And how much is that worth today?
Wow.
Here it is. No, that's not it. There is a website. I think 14.6 grams. Let's see what we can find here. Machon Keter. It's an institute for business, according to halacha. And it says here, internet's a little slow. Here it is. 27.17 shekels today. If you were to give it today.
Okay, that's nice.
27 shekels.
It's not too much.
Is that more machmir than a shekel and a half?
Yay!
Wait, I thought you said the Ashkenazim are machmir.
But now you should, I think.
Well, you tricked us.
I
Yeah, I know
did.
that.
I
You didn't
did.
give us the full conditions. I knew those Sephardim were after something.
The Sephardim in the end turned out to be
More
more machmir on this one.
Oh no.
That's a custom. All the customs are valid. As we said, it's a custom. It's not a law. It's not doraita or derabanan. We don't have any
Where do they give the
sacrifices
money?
today. That's a good question too. Where do we give the money? We don't have any temple.
Tzedakah.
You can choose any tzedakah you like.
Oh, the Temple Institute.
You could do that. There, sure. You could do that. Give it to the temple. Maybe some people say it's best to give it to poor people, but there are any good cause.
Rob,
Yes.
there's no Olam Haba into the Torah. I mean, the book.
There's hints to it. There's hints to it. All right. That was the end of chapter 14. Are you ready? Hananel, you have a question.
Yeah, about the tzedakah, and everything. So I give to the poor part. There's no poor. Yeah.
If you don't have any poor, you give it to me. I know some poor people, and I'll give it to them for you. Or not me. There's another organization. There are hundreds of tzedakah organizations. And they'll take your money, and they'll distribute it to the poor for you.
Yes.
You don't have to actually personally know a poor person.
This is what I was telling
That's
you.
what you mean. Good. Yes, sir. Hananel.
Aksaf, meaning, yeah, something like that. I have to keep it the money and then transfer to donation for something like that.
You can give tzedakah every day. Many people give tzedakah at the end of the month when they do their finances. You could give your tzedakah once a year. There are certain donations where the custom is to give on a specific date. One we just spoke about, the half a shekel. Usually, as I said, I put it in the plate. There's a plate in shul on the bima where they read from the Torah. Before Menachem, on Tanit Esther, a lot of people come up to the bima and they give their half shekels and they put it into the plate, and then somebody in charge, he goes and gives it to the poor later.
Rav, meaning, should I give Torah still, just like as you know, something I did, Talmud, who learn the Torah and then to give more to the poor person, or to give more to who learn Torah? Yeah.
It's a good question. Should you support more poor people, or should you support Torah scholars?
Both.
Good answer. It's hard to give a straight answer. There are a lot of important causes. Of course, we don't want people to be starving in the street. But the truth is, in Israel, there's an institution called...
Machon Meir.
No. It's called Bituach Leumi. Bituach Leumi is a national insurance fund.
I've heard about
And
this.
every person who lives in Israel has to contribute every month to that fund. If not, they'll throw you in jail eventually.
Unless you have
If you're a student, they give you a lower rate. If you're Bituach Leumi, that's what it's called.
Tax.
It's a tax. It's a tax. It's a community tax, though. You know what it's for?
Helping people.
It means if you don't have a job, you get unemployment insurance. It means if you get injured, you get a disability insurance from the government. It means when you get old, everybody gets a pension from the government. That's because all your whole life you pay in every month to Bituach Leumi. That's called national insurance. It's the biggest branch of the Israeli government. And you could say it's the greatest tzedakah organization ever in the history of the world.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the largest part of Israel's budget, except for security. If not for the army, except for the security. Everything else. It's a larger budget than education, larger budget than senior citizens, it's a larger budget than Ministry of Religion, Ministry of Economics. It's the largest budget. Very big organization. It's sort of what they call the welfare state, that the state takes responsibility for everybody's welfare, and it comes from our donations, the forced donations, really, tax.
So you give it every month?
Yes.
Money?
Yes.
So when you receive your salary, the money that is
They take it automatically. Every employer has a system where they're connected to the government, and part of the salary goes automatically to Bituach Leumi.
So we don't have to get tzedakah.
No, I wouldn't say that. I think tzedakah is still important beyond that, but definitely part of that can go to tzedakah. See, the problem is a little complicated. Bituach Leumi is such a large organization. They do so many things. Not all of it is giving money to the poor, but bottom line is every citizen in Israel, what we don't find, if you've been to Delhi, have you been to Delhi? Have you been to Delhi?
Daily, yeah?
Of course. You?
To the country?
The city.
Yes, the city, yeah.
You have.
Yeah.
What's something you find there when you try to walk down the sidewalk in Delhi that you don't find so much in Israel? What do you find lying down the sidewalk? You can't walk 2 feet without stumbling over another one.
The poor people?
Poor people.
No, that's a lie.
It's not true. There are not people on the streets in
There are
Delhi?
poor people, but you don't see them.
You don't see them that often? That's what I was told. Anyways, there are a lot of poor people in a lot of different countries, not so much in Israel. The reason is because there's Bituach Leumi. The government takes care of them. It doesn't make them rich, but it takes care that they shouldn't be on the street begging for food. Anyways, all right, Baruch Hashem. Okay, chapter 15. Everybody open up the book of Zemanim, please. Chapter 15. All right, Chanoch, take it away.
Joy pouring expresses the eternal sanctity
Oh, you're on. Yeah, you are perfect. You're reading on page 311, right?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Miracle according the sanctity of the Jewish people, even though this sanctity is sometimes hidden by our sins, it never disappears. Jews, even when they sin, are still called God's children. And nevertheless, God directs the world and arranges events for their benefit in order to save and redeem them.
Thank you, Zeb. We continue, please, the next paragraph. At the time.
At the time of the Purim story, the Jewish people was in dire straits. The first temple had been destroyed and Israel had been exiled from its land, while Cyrus's edict permitting the Jews to return to their land had already been declared. Only a small minority actually did so. The Persian Empire ruled the world, and the large Jewish population living throughout the empire made an effort to assimilate and behave as the Gentiles did, to the point where many were willing to bow down to an idol. In the capital city of Shushan, many Jews partook in Ahasuerus's feast and looked on as the Persians brought out the temple vessels, which our enemies had pillaged at the time of the temple's destruction, and used them for mundane purposes. Yet they still enjoyed this wicked man's feast. And it seemed as though the great vision for which the nation of Israel was chosen was steadily vanishing. There would no longer be hope for a return to Zion. The Jewish people would no longer bring the word of Hashem to the world.
What?
Wow. This was the danger. This is what was going on in the time of the Persian exile. The first temple was destroyed. They didn't know there was going to be a second temple.
But the prophet said,
They were maybe few crazy Jews went to Israel.
So from the time of Esther to Ezra going back to Jerusalem with
It was approximately the same time. The timeline's not exactly clear.
so it's like 10 years within. Basically Esther was alive.
It's the same time.
So
It's the time of the return of the exiles, is when the Purim story happened. But a lot of the Jews were not returning. They most of them stayed in Persia, in Babylon, wherever they were. And
So Ezra was alive when Esther was alive, but Esther didn't want to go back to Jerusalem.
Esther was the queen in Shushan. She
was
couldn't
Jewish.
leave.
But
She was the queen of Persia.
She was Jewish?
Esther?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mordecai went back.
Mordechai went back. It's very interesting. We see that Mordechai is listed as one of the exiles that was leading the exiles back to Israel. Some people say, you know what, this is already after that the exiles returned, and Mordechai returned with them from Babylon to Israel. What's he doing in Persia? They say he was a part of AIPAC. You know what AIPAC is? It's a lobby organization of American Jewry in Washington, D.C. What's Washington, D.C.? What do they have there? A house? What's in Washington, D.C.? The White House. What's in Washington, D.C.? Capitol Hill. That's where the government makes all the decisions. So Mordechai traveled from Israel to plea for the plight of the Jews, to take care of the interests of the Jews in Washington, D.C. Oh, no. What was the capital then? Not Washington. What was the capital? Shushan. The capital of the Persian Empire. So Mordechai was on a mission. He was a shaliach. I don't know if he had a Chabad house.
Gedag is Chabad.
Yeah, Susa, yeah.
Gedag is Chabad, not Chabad.
Okay.
Wrong question. So why was Esther allowed to marry a non-Jewish king?
Who said she was allowed?
She was not?
You think she had a choice?
I don't know.
Sounds like force, but it's a good question. But in any case.
She will save the atmosphere because of him.
Oh, yeah. She had to save Am Yisrael. Anyways, it's a good question.
But
But I'm worried about the Jewish people, not about Esther and her keeping the mitzvot. They're about to disappear in Persia. They're all assimilating. They're eating non-kosher at the king's.
It's like now.
Yeah, there are similarities. So what are we going to do? Take a look at page 312. You read it. You have Yosef. You have Yosef.
Then a grave accusation arose in heaven against Israel. Despite the fact that God chose Israel from among all the other nations, gave them His Torah, and manifested His presence in their midst, they were acting like Gentiles, bowing to an idol and failing to go up to their land to build a holy temple. Therefore, the wicked Haman, a descendant of Amalek, arose and instigated the Persian Empire to enact a terrible decree against the Jews, the likes of which had never been seen before, to destroy, massacre, and exterminate all the Jews, young and old, children and women, on a single day, on the 13th day of the 12th month, that is the month of Adar, and to plunder their possessions. Esther 3, verse 13.
Okay? Wow. This was it. This was going to be extermination. Genocide.
This is what the Muslims want to do.
Haman was going to put Mordechai in the gallows and kill all the Jews. He put out an edict. Read the book. It's a good book. We're going to read it a few times. He put out an edict that on this day, the 13th of Adar, everybody pick up your knives and guns and kill your neighbor Jews. Whatever they had. Whatever they had.
So it wasn't like Germany, it wasn't like fire.
Well, it was crowdfunding. It was all from the people, but this was by the king's edict. Haman had the king's signet ring, and he signed this edict to destroy all the Jews in one day. Maybe it's worse than Hitler.
That's like the president signing.
Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine that? Scary business. Wow. Ultimately, it became clear. I'm reading the last paragraph on the page. Ultimately, it became clear that God controls events.
It became clear that God controls events and had even already prepared the solution to the problem in advance by arranging for Ahasuerus to marry Esther. Thus, Mordecai and Esther were able to thwart Haman's plan. Everything was reversed. Instead of Israel's enemies carrying out their evil scheme, the Jews were able to kill their enemies, even hanging Haman and his sons on the very tree that he had prepared for Mordecai. The people of Israel experienced a great salvation. Their prestige grew among the nation, and they mustered the strength to ascend to Eretz Israel, settle it, and build the second temple.
Woo! Party on! We got saved. Not only did we get saved on that day, but essentially that saved the Jewish history, the Jewish future. If they would have been destroyed, that would be the end, and they wouldn't, that little few people that went up to Israel, they would have had success. Now they're going to get government backing. Going to have Uncle Sam behind those settlers. Yes.
Isn't it because the Mordechai didn't go to Ahasuerus that this happened?
Oh, you notice that. We skipped a paragraph. It's right there in that little paragraph. There is a tradition like that. It does say it in the Megillah. That one of the ways that God chose to bring about this v'nahafochu, what does that mean? Flip. One of the ways God brought about the flip is that he got Haman angry at Mordechai because Mordechai wouldn't bow down. And then Haman wanted to hang Mordechai. And in the end, we had gallows to hang Haman on. Right? So this whole story of Haman and Mordechai, the two leaders of the two groups, it does have to do with bowing down.
So we should learn from this that we shouldn't bow down to the other kings or...
It's very important to not bow down to other. Some people say that the reason why Mordechai didn't bow down to Haman is because he had a cross around his neck. I'm making an anachronistic statement. I mean, he had a avodah zarah. He had some kind of idol around in a chain, and that's why he was forcing everybody to bow down to him. But whatever it is, or maybe he made himself into an idol. Mordechai says, "I don't bow down to idols," so we're not allowed to bow down to idols until today. It's true.
Yeah. I remember a story. There was this woman who went to meet the Pope from the Knesset. And she said before she doesn't want to go to the Pope because he was wearing a cross.
Wow.
And the same thing happened with Biden also, I think.
Interesting.
Mordecai was like that?
Biden's Christian. I don't know what.
I don't
Biden
know.
is a Catholic.
No, she didn't want to shake hands
I see.
because she's a religious woman.
That's our ambassador to England is a religious woman. She doesn't shake hands. It's very impressive. But of course, it's a longer sugya. It's a different issue. Okay, let's get back to the story. So what do we celebrate on Purim?
Almost being genocide.
Being Jewish.
Salvation from genocide. Good. Salvation from almost genocide. Excellent. Good, excellent summary. What?
Being Jewish and the Torah.
Being Jewish in the Torah. Great. So the Torah bit is coming now in the next paragraph. The next paragraph, we expand the idea from the basic story of, they say that all Jewish holidays are the same. Do you know this joke?
How? Yeah, I think so too.
All the Jewish holidays are the same. They tried to kill us. Hashem saved us.
Or like that.
Now let's eat. That's it. The three elements of every Jewish holiday. They tried to kill us. God saved us. Now let's eat. Good?
Yep.
Good summary of all Jewish festivals? But there's more about Purim. It's true, that is the essence of Purim. You said it very well. There was a genocide attempt to wipe out all the Jews in all of the kingdom of Achashverosh, which essentially was the whole world, 127 countries. Hashem saved us through Esther, and Mordechai, and Shushan, and the whole political infighting. When in the bottom of the line, we were saved, and that was an amazing miracle. And hooray that we are here to celebrate it. However, there's more. Specifically, Purim has another theme. And that other theme, page 313, it's accepting the Torah anew.
Wow.
Okay? Gedalia, read for us, please.
If we delve deeper, we will see that Haman's decree actually stirred the singular quality, zegula, of the Jewish people. The decree made it clear that the Jewish people were willing to make great sacrifices in order to hold on to their faith. After all, they could have assimilated among the Gentiles and saved themselves from annihilation. Nevertheless, they did not try to escape their Jewish destiny. On the contrary, the decree inspired them to repent and strengthen their faith and commitment to the Torah and the mitzvot. The events of Purim were so monumentous that the sages stated that Israel accepted the Torah anew at that time of Ahasuerus. In a certain sense, the renewed commitment at the time was greater than the original acceptance of Torah on Mount Sinai. When the Torah was first given, Israel was forced to accept it, as it says, they took their places at the foot of the mountain. The sages comment, this teaches that the Holy One, blessed be He, overturned the mountains upon them like a cask, and said to them, if you accept the Torah, good. If not, here shall be your burial. Rabbi Aha ben Yaakov said, the furnishes of a strong protest against the Torah, since they accepted the Torah under duress, they are not obligated to uphold it. Rabbi said, even so, they are re-accepting it at the time of Ahasuerus. As it says, the Jews upheld and accepted upon themselves. That is, they confirmed what they had accepted long before.
In other words, what do we celebrate on Purim? Accepting, no, that was the last page. Accepting the Torah. This is a different theme. When do we get the Torah? Mount Sinai. What time of year was that? On which holiday do we celebrate receiving the Torah? Shavuot. What does it have to do with now? Purim. The answer is Purim is re-accepting. It's like you did Gior once, sometimes you got to do Gior again.
No.
Can you imagine that?
No.
Sometimes people do more than one Gior. Right, Yosef? The Jewish people accepted the Torah at Mount Sinai just 2 weeks ago. Parshat Yitro. Remember that? So what does that have to do with Purim? Oh, you know what the Talmud says? The Jews had an excuse. if God would come to the Jews and say to them, hey, you're not keeping Shabbat. You're not eating kosher. You know what the Jew could say? I don't have to. What do you mean? All the Jews accepted the Torah on Mount Sinai. You said, yeah, but we were forced to. It doesn't count. Because God forced our hand. How did God force our hand? How did God force our hand?
On Mount Sinai.
On Mount Sinai. There's a tradition that he held the mountain over their heads and said, you better accept the Torah or you're going to be buried under the mountain. So they said, that's not accepting the Torah. That's not free choice. I was going to be killed. And they would have been right. There's something missing about the first receiving of the Torah. It's yours, sir, not mine. So Rava came along and said, you know what? That would have been true up until Purim. When the Purim story happened, no more excuses. Because it says in the Megillah that after they were saved from annihilation, the Jewish people accepted the Torah again. They had a second conversion. Sorry?
Who wrote the book of Esther?
Esther.
Oh, Esther.
Esther. Esther. Together with Mordechai. Co-authored. And then approved by the men of the Great Assembly to be part of the canon. So it says there explicitly that the Jews accepted the Torah. So therefore, we have to keep it today. If you don't keep Shabbat, if you don't keep kosher, God's going to come to you and say, no, you're Jewish, you have to keep kosher. And you can't say, but they didn't accept it out of free will at Mount Sinai. I said, too bad. The Jewish people accepted it upon themselves from free will. When? When? Purim. On Purim. We celebrate that on Purim. Now listen to this. Do you really think that God held the mountain over their heads?
Maybe.
Can you imagine that picture?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a horror movie where a big hand comes out of the sky and lifts out a mountain?
Yes.
It's so strange. God doesn't have a
That's a
hand.
13. One of the 13. Sure.
So read the last paragraph. Many commentators.
Many commentators expected God custom overturned the mountain upon them like grass. In the symbolic spiritual sense, after all the great miracles of the Exodus from Egypt, the splitting of the sea, and the awesome revelation of Mount Sinai, it was impossible for the Greeks not to accept the Torah. However,
So one second. Did God hold the mountain over their heads or not?
No.
No? What does it mean then?
It's a spiritual thing.
What does that mean?
Because of all the miracles and everything that we were like so forced to.
That's right. It's a metaphor. It means we were under duress because we saw such great miracles. Of course we accepted the Torah.
Someone did so much for us that we had to do so
Obviously, exactly. So it doesn't mean literally God held the mountain over our heads. But still, it does mean that there was an element of force. We were overwhelmed by God when He took us out of Egypt. So there was something lacking in our acceptance. The question still remained. Would the Jews stay connected to God? Hanoch, you want to continue reading? Would the Jews stay connected to God?
Detached from those miracles and wonders. Indeed, they were ups and downs until the events of Purim took place. That is when it became clear that the people of Israel's connection to their faith and to the Torah were absolute. The terrible decree made it clear that the price of belief might be unbearable, but the Jews still chose to adhere to their faith, repent, and pray to God without any coercion. Not only did they return to observe the 613 mitzvahs, they even instituted additional mitzvahs after they were saved. The mitzvahs of 3.
Thus,
we were privileged to build the second temple, and the door was open for the advancement of the study of the oral Torah, which was the main spiritual enterprise of the second temple era.
wow. By the way, the Judaism we practice is the Judaism of that second temple era.
Wow.
It's very hard to understand what exactly Judaism looked like in the first temple era. They didn't have all these rabbinic laws, all these definitions by the sages of how exactly the mitzvot are performed.
That's still a lot of people, though.
There
40,000 people.
There were tons of people. What do you mean?
You said 40,000.
Who came up to Eretz Yisrael? No, it grew. It grew. There became many. In the Second Temple era, it became massive. That's what I'm trying to say. The Second Temple era pretty much is the foundation of Judaism as we know it. Biblical Judaism, as much as it is attractive to go back to the Bible, it's almost impossible. When we reconstruct it, we see the Torah through the lenses of the sages and the men of the Great Assembly from the Second Temple era. Okay? This is the Judaism we practice. We don't practice, I know some people like to go back to Canaanite robes, biblical robes. Right? Let's dress like the early Hebrews in the time of Yoshua and Moshe. Let's all wear sandals and have a staff. That's a romantic, ridiculous, newfangled fad. That's not Judaism. Judaism is a continuous chain which started then, but it filtered through all of the Jewish history, in particular, most importantly, through the Second Temple era Judaism, which flourished after Purim. Because Purim we were saved and we re-accepted the Torah anew. It actually gave us a push in the right direction to the development of
Should we do something similar to this?
the oral Torah. Similar to what?
Similar to some kind of, I don't know, to make a third temple? I don't know. We should do something for the third temple.
We are building a third temple. Didn't you get the memo? Don't you know we're building the third temple?
No.
You haven't heard about it?
No.
You know what I heard? I heard that in order to build a third temple, we have to have a road to get there. And actually nowadays you need an airport so that people can come from all over the world. And then you need a highway, and then you also need electricity, and you need probably an army to protect us. Oh, you need a country. All that's part of building the third temple. What do you think we're doing here? It's all leading. You were saying the actual building.
Yeah.
We're getting there, but that might need a few more preparations. Okay?
Do we really have to wait for the Moshiach to build the temple?
No.
No.
So we could build it, start building it tomorrow.
We could start
We could
building it
take
tomorrow, but the
those
problem
are,
is we need unity. We need the Jewish people behind us. We don't have a majority, I think.
And Ezra and Jeremiah, they were around the same time. They were like the same.
You asked me that yesterday. I have to look up when Jeremiah died because according to our tradition, I don't know that Jeremiah was involved in the coming back to the second temple, to rebuild the second temple. That's news to me. I have to look it up. Could be I'm not remembering properly. I don't know.
So it was leading up to Jeremiah was a prophet, Ezekiel was a prophet, but Ezra.
He was a prophet too, sure. Yeah,
He
he was
had,
it's a book in
He
the.
had the dream thing like Ezekiel and Jeremiah.
It says that God came to Ezra. It says that God came to Ezra. Doesn't mention any dreams that he had, but God spoke to the prophets. The assumption is that Ezra was a prophet as well. And Zechariah and Malachi, all those people at the beginning of the Second Temple era. Okay?
So we can, the Jewish people can have prophecy outside of Israel? Like
That's a good question. It's a good question. The Kuzari already talks about that. And after he teaches, the Kuzari, Rabbi Yehuda Levi, he teaches about Judaism. And he says, prophecy is only in the land of Israel, because the land of Israel is special.
Daniel.
Every country has riches, natural resources, right? Saudi Arabia has what? Oil. And we know that Idaho, potatoes. Every country has a climate which is good for growing something else. South America, quinoa. No, llamas in Nepal. Llamas from Nepal. Alpaca. Alpacas in Peru, right? Every country's got something. And you know what the Kuzari says? You know what's unique? What's our natural minerals here in Israel?
Torah.
Spirituality. That's right. Godliness. The Shekhinah, the divine presence. Israel is very specially created to be a vehicle for the divine presence. However, and that's why he says prophecy only in the land of Israel. They asked him, what do you mean Yechezkel was in Tel Aviv? Tel Aviv's not in Israel. Tel Aviv was on the Kavar River out there in Iraq. Exactly. It's called Tel Aviv. That's the original name. Tel Aviv was the name of a city in Babylon or in Iraq. Yechezkel was there.
Tel Aviv?
Tel Aviv in Iraq.
In Iraq. Tel Aviv in Iraq. How could Yechezkel be a prophet if you tell me prophecy is only in the land of Israel? He says, you didn't pay attention. I said, it's only in the land of Israel or on behalf of the land of Israel. In other words, you can, if you stretch a wire from the land of Israel, spiritual wire, from the land of Israel to America, anywhere in the world, you can get prophecy. If your prophecy is connected to the land of Israel, you can get prophecy. Anyways, what do I know about prophecy?
All prophecies related to Israel.
The prophecy has to be related to Israel, or he wouldn't have gotten prophecy. So you must say that Ezra also got prophecy related to the land of Israel, even though he was in Chutz La'aretz. Are you ready?
Ready for what?
Building the third temple, yes.
Page 314. Page 314. Gedalia, read for us, please. Establishing Purim.
Even though the joy over the salvation was great, it was initially unclear how the event should be marked. Esther wrote to the sages, write an account of me for further generations, so she didn't write it.
Keep reading.
Future generations. That is, write down the Purim story and include it as one of the holy books of the Tanakh. Esther further requested, establish me for future generations, that it is established the days of Purim for future generations as days of joy and reading the Megillah. At first, the sages were unsure about this, and both because it might arouse feelings of vengefulness among the nations of the world to see Israel rejoicing over their downfall, and also because they were uncertain whether it was appropriate to add the Torah another description of Israel's war against Amalek. In the end, they found scriptural allusions indicating that there are grounds to write about the battle of Amalek once again. Thus, the men of the Great Assembly composed Megillat Esther, the scroll of Esther, through divine inspiration, and established Purim as a holiday for future generations. The men of the Great Assembly constituted the supreme Beit Din that functioned at the beginning of the Second Temple period. It was comprised of 120 elders among the prophets and sages such as Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah, Ezra the scribe, Nehemiah, Ben, Mordecai, the same Mordecai that appears in Megillat Esther, and Zerubbabel, and Shealtiel. Ezra the scribe was the most prominent of all, so much so that the men of the Great Assembly are sometimes called Beit Din Ezra the scribe. They were the Beit Din that established the first major enactments that are considered rabbinic mitzvot, and they were the impetus for the continued activity of the sages of the oral Torah. The Purim miracle is considered the last miracle that was allowed to be recorded in the Tanakh. As the sages say, Esther is the end of all the miracles. Thus, in effect, the writing of Megillah Esther concludes the Tanakh. Purim is the link that connects the written Torah and the oral Torah. This is reflected in the status of its mitzvot, which are considered divrei Kabbalah, an intermediate category between Torah commandments and rabbinic ones. On one hand, they are not on the level of mitzvot that are written in the Pentateuch. On the other hand, they are not considered rabbinic mitzvot, since Megillah Esther is included in Scripture. The Rishonim disagree about how one should behave if an uncertainty arises regarding the laws of Purim. Does the halacha demand that one be stringent, as in case of Torah commandments, or lenient, as in cases of rabbinic commandments?
Okay, so far so good? Got it? You understand Purim now? Two major themes of Purim. Who can tell me what are the two major themes of Purim we discussed?
They try to kill us.
Hashem saved us. Let's eat. Good. Okay, that's number one theme. And what's the second theme, Chanoch?
We celebrate it.
No.
The building of the second thing.
No.
Reading the Megillah, sending gifts to
Ladies and gentlemen, please
giving,
pay attention.
participating.
Now you're getting closer. Two major themes of Purim. We just read it.
Commemorating the day.
First is the salvation from annihilation. And the second theme is
We accept it.
re-accepting the Torah. Exactly. Re-accepting the Torah. The beginning of the oral Torah, if you will. The bridge between the written and the oral Torah.
Reading the Torah.
Accepting the Torah. Re-accepting the Torah. Renewing that contract of the Torah. Okay? Those are the two themes we spoke about. How do we perform mitzvot? There are 7 mitzvot of Purim. Everybody take out a pen and a paper, please. And write down from the top of page 316 the 7 mitzvot of Purim.
7 mitzvahs.
4 plus 3. Write them down. Copy them down to your own notebook. Sir, you don't have a notebook. Can't copy them down into your notebook.
You're not wearing any The great days are coming. Sending gifts. Ah, I'm sending gifts to friends.
That's my favorite part.
Or food. I give a candy.
Never give me $10,000.
I give you 1 shekel candy.
Better than
Half a shekel candy.
a chaser.
You gifts to the poor. I give something to you. It's okay.
Giving gifts.
I'm giving gifts to poor. Am I a poor person?
You want to use spices for your kitchen.
Oh, that's nice. Participating. Just give me-
Participating. That's the
Reading the Torah.
Seven mitzvah, you got them?
And recite al-Hadisi.
That's it. It's one of them. Excuse me, sir. I'm all right.
Refraining from fasting. What if you see a dream the night before? Bad dream.
Don't fast on Purim. Do it another time.
Do it another time.
But it says 5 megillot. Why do they call them scrolls?
Good question.
Not books.
They are read in public.
Oh, that's what.
I think that's why. From scrolls, yeah.
Scrolls are-
Yeah. Different times, just different holidays of the year.
Why are there physical scrolls for Esther? Like, I guess there is like a commandment to read the Megillah,
Mm-hmm.
but like, why not for Shir?
There is too. Some places have them.
Enhancing the
Not every place does, but it's only like a mitzvah that's on the level of the mitzvah of Divrei Kabbalah, as we just read, which is a super rabbinic mitzvah.
So I can,
For Esther.
I can
The
read
others.
from the Torah, the Tanakh, and fulfill the first mitzvah of
No,
reading the Megillah.
no. The Megillah has to be read from a kosher scroll.
And why does it say wisdom and books, Job and Psalms? Why is Job?
It's a category of three. They're called Aleph, Mem, Tet. Eov, Mishlei, and Tehillim. Emet. Emet is an acronym of the three words. Eov is Job. Mishlei, Mem is M is for Mishlei, and Tet, Taf, is for Tehillim. Emet, the word Emet, truth. You forgot a book here, sir. There's a book here.
No,
Oh, you'll be back. Okay, sorry.
So
Yeah.
Job, Mishnah is what.
Mishlei is Proverbs. Yeah, Mishlei. Yeah.
It's anything. The first one was Job, and it was acronym for.
The three Eov, Mishlei, and Tehillim.
Not
Emet.
Emet, not truth.
Emet. It spells a nice word, so it's easy to remember.
All acronym. Okay, so
It's truth, wisdom, literature. You could say there's a few other
Yom,
books.
Tehillim, Pro, Mishlei.
Eov, Mishlei, and Tehillim. What?
It's in that order. Yom.
Emet is the Aleph, Mem, Taf. Aleph, Eov, Mishlei, Tehillim.
his name is.
That's his name is Eov. That's right. That's where he gets his name. It's one of the names
He's
of.
a wisdom book.
He's wise.
Walking wisdom.
He's full of wisdom.
And the
Call him
Yom.
later today.
Okay, Hananel, give me a mitzvah of Purim.
Reading Megillah.
Reading Megillah. Another one.
Shalom Manos.
Gedalia, Shalach Manos, otherwise known as Mishloach Manos. It's a different conjugation, but the word Shloach means sending gifts to the poor, to a friend. Excuse me. Three, mitzvah number 3. Matanot la'evyonim, gifts to the poor. Wait a minute, didn't we give gifts to the poor? On what day?
On every month.
Every day, but specifically what day? We just talked about it. The beginning of class. No, now we're talking about Purim. The half shekel. When do we give the half shekel? When? When? Tanit Esther. That's the day before Purim. So we have a mitzvah to give the half shekels the day before Purim, and another mitzvah. Turn it off.
It's really cool.
It's adding heat. It's not cold. Sorry. You want my jacket?
No.
What's that day called before Purim?
Ta'anit Esther, fast of Esther. So we give gifts to the poor a second time on the day of Purim. 2 times. Once on Ta'anit Esther we give the half shekels. How much is a half shekel?
$300.
What?
30 shekels.
27. I didn't say 300.
So half a shekel is.
Half a shekel?
Oh, I'm thinking about.
Are you Ashkenazi? Yeah, you're talking about the 5 coins for the pigeon a band. That was 5 shekels.
Oh.
This is half of a shekel. So it's 27 shekels. And if you're Ashkenazi, how much is it?
Half a shekel. New Israeli shekel.
3 half shekels. So, but what do? The next day on Purim itself, we have to give gifts. This time it does have to be the poor. It shouldn't be just to a Torah scholar organization or something like that. Right, on Purim, it has to be matanot la. No, what's the word?
Kesef.
Matanot la.
Kesef.
I had you copy it over so that you know the Hebrew. Evyonim. Evyon is another word for poor. What's another word for poor in Hebrew? Ani. Aniyim. This is evyon. Evyonim. Different word.
So there's a fast during this time?
No, Purim's a happy day. On the happy day, we give gifts to the poor.
Or no fast. No
What?
fasting in Adar.
You're not. We have fast on the Ta'anit Esther. The day before Purim is a fast day.
What kind of fast? Like
The fast Vestal.
It's a short 12 hours. Yeah.
The fast Vestal.
Festive Esther. No.
No water? Like
No water. 12 hours. No water.
Sun?
Sun to sun, yeah. Sun up to sundown.
Sun up to sundown.
Okay. What's the 4th mitzvah of Purim?
Make hamidashim.
No.
That's the meal.
Look on the top of page 316. We say them all. A festive meal. Festive meal. All 4 of these, what's the common denominator?
Happy. Simcha.
All have to be done on the day of Purim. Number 1, read the Megillah. You can't read the Megillah today. You have to send gifts to your friends, not today.
Bishloch manot.
Shlach manot on Purim. Number 3, you have to give tzedakah. Gifts to the poor. Today? Ta'anit Esther? No. On the day of Purim. And the 4th, finally, you have to party. When?
Good food.
When do you party?
On the day of
Oh, what? On the day of Purim? When else do we party this year? When do we party this year? This year. Which day? Which day? Which day? This year.
Oh, your house.
What Adar are we in?
Shabbaton.
Your house.
Adar.
Katan.
Thank you.
Your house.
No, my house is not connected. Purim, Katan. On Purim, we must have a big festive meal. That's in the 2nd Adar, the real Purim. In the 1st Adar, we have Purim Katan. There is a custom, we read about it yesterday, that you should have a little bit of a festive meal. Get it? A little bit of a festive meal. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay, what are the other 3 customs we do on
Reading the Torah.
reading the Torah? Good.
Reading
What else?
Recite
Al-Hadith.
And
We don't fast.
And?
We don't fast.
And we don't fast. Very good. All right, everybody turn the page, take a Siddur. 231. Pray for us, guys. And then get ready for your test. Exercise. Quiz. Page 231.
Israel, Aniduni B'tzara, B'tzara u'Meshia, Olim ben Bayam, ben Bayam, Masha. Ameinu, Kol Bet Yisrael, Ameinu, Kol Bet Yisrael, Anituni B'tzara, B'tzara
Beshia, Omrim Ben Bayam, Ben Bayam, Masha. Hamakom Yirachem, Yirachem, Alechem, Yotziem Mitzara. V'shiro v'gila hashta v'gavla u'bizman karev ha'makom yirachem yirachem alechem yotziem mitzara l'iracha Shiro Ligula Hashta Vagala Ubizman Karim Maramakom Yirachem Yirachem Alechem Yotziem Mitzara L'iracha U'me'afel Le'olam Shiro Ligula Hashta Vagala Ubizman Karim.
Okay. Amen. Amen. Here is your quiz. What I'd like you to do, please, is for each section of the morning prayer outline, write down a number, the complete number, of how many primary sections you must say in each section. Now you can use your cheat sheet. You can use your notes. You can use anything you want except for your friend. You're not allowed to use your friend.
You just
You
have to
use
put a number
your
on
notes. No, the number and what they are.
that. That's too much.
Well, this is the
Yeah.
one that I wrote.
It's not. We have the last two. We did it on the board yesterday, the day before yesterday. The last two, this was number 10 and number 11. This is number 10 and 11. So you have some of it on the board.
We'll get some more.
Do what you gotta do. You can open up your notes and copy it over from the page. Underneath the page. I have it here for you. That is the different sections. Try to get all of them. I'm just giving you the number, but you're supposed to say it, not just the number.
The second one, Korbanot offering, it's Korbanot.
But there's one primary prayer. If possible, you should say.
Sacrifice?
Tell me the sacrifice is the correct answer for that. You can look in your Siddur if you want. Anywhere you want. You don't have your notes from the previous day? The answers are all there. For the taking.
So we're allowed to.
You are allowed to look at the paper.
Isn't that cheating?
It's not cheating, it's called learning. You might not know the difference between them. My job is not to trick you, my job is to teach you. The fact that I wrote it down doesn't help you write it down. If I were you, I would try to think of it myself first, before you just copy it off from the piece of paper. See how much you actually know. But I'm not you, so that's up to you.
What do you call that?
Vidui. It's right there.
But I just write vidui. The
Ashamnu is the first word. Here's your exercise. We're gonna work on this. Do you have this page? So I would like you to write down this column on this page. For each section, what are the primary prayers of the morning prayers? There's 11 sections. Each one has a various number of primary prayers. What's the sum total, actually? 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 30 sections. It's actually 29. It's actually 28. 28.
finished.
Good. Now, take the Siddur and write down the page numbers of each one of those. Yeah. Okay, Yov, did you get them all right? You check your work. You have the answers. The numbers should show you if you got it right or not.
We need 1 to 6. Need to write a line.
Here, there should be, within number 1, there should be 6 items. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items. Copy them over here.
Oh.
Hello.
Did you finish?
Mizmo Shir, is that like you pick a song or is that a specific song?
Specific one. Specific one. Where you're looking at number 3?
Baruch She'amar.
Yeah, it's Tehillim 30. Yeah, it starts Mizmor Shir Chanukat Habayit LeDavid.
Baruch She'amar is it Tehillim?
No, the Mizmor Shir next to it.
Rav, one question about that. For Korbanot offering.
Yeah.
There's nothing, right? You don't say nothing for that. There's nothing there.
Well, I actually have one in there. Yeah, Tamid, the Korban Tamid. That's one of the Korbanot. It's the daily sacrifice. There is a custom that there's a few psukim we say. We say the verses from the Torah. You can skip that as well if necessary. Sure. Yeah.
Is there like a siddur with bare minimum of what you have to say?
This is it.
Like siddur.
The bare bones.
There is, but it's hard to say because there's bear and then there's more bear and then there's more bear. It depends on how much time you have and how much distress you're in. The bare bones is, just Shema. Whatever you do, what you can. If you're fighting in Gaza and your life's on the line, you don't do anything, right? If you're a surgeon and you're in the middle of an operation, you can't pray at all. That's why I'm saying they're not going to make a sitter for such extreme cases.
There are like new people coming into Judaism and when they see like this, they say this much in the book.
So this is what I'm teaching you now. What's the primary? Really, you should be practicing all of it. Okay, now look at the page, the original page, and look at the prayers that can be skipped. Make sure you recognize them. Like Chanoch is asking me about the Hodu and the Mizmor Shir. Read the rest of the comments here.
Because if you're Sephardim, you want to do Roman first.
That's right. Sephardim do start Hodu. The Pesukei de Zimra. Chanoch also in the Korbanot section, if you look at the comments, Havinenu. That's a short prayer when you're in distress.
What's the 15 blessing? What's the Yeh Ratzon? Yeh Ratzon is just that's added after the 15 blessings. You get the Yeh Ratzon.
That's right.
What is that basically?
It's a prayer without the word Baruch in it.
It's a blessing, no?
It's a prayer. It's a prayer. It can't be called a blessing if it doesn't have the word Baruch in there.
So when I see like people read the Amidah within 1 or 2 minutes,
They say every word, hopefully.
they don't say Happy.
No, that's rarely used. Only extreme conditions.
And number 5 is supposed to be Shaharit. If I understood. Yeah.
So look on the answer sheet. Where's the answer sheet? Here. Number 1 is Netilat Yadayim. Number 2 is Asher Yatzar. Number 3 is... this is the answers. These are the answers right here.
Not in the page.
Not on the page number. The page number is not important. Page number, important to know, recognize all the major sections of the prayers.
So when you read Cedar HaKorbanot, that's a prayer, or is that just the daily sacrifice? What would you classify that?
It's part of the prayers. It's part of the prayers. Everything here in the Siddur, that's what it's. Siddur is for prayers. Part of our prayers are quoting verses from the Torah about the sacrifices. It's a form of prayer.
Is that because, like, when the temple's built, that would just be part of the...
That's right. We won't have to say it. We're actually going to be doing it. We sort of speak it instead of doing it.
And with the half Kaddish and the Rabbi Kaddish and the Mortar Kaddish, how would you describe? That's basically, in your words, like, it's your definition.
Kaddish is a very ancient prayer in Aramaic. It's just said in various parts of the prayers by the leader, sometimes by mourners. Pretty much it's a very ancient form of sanctifying God's name. It's only said with a minyan. It looks like people are pretty much finished.
Yes.
You're done? Okay. Everybody please open up your Siddur and turn to page
192.
191.
Oh.
You know what? 192. For you, 192. Great. Well done. Do you see the middle of the page? Towards the beginning? Follow along. Put your finger in the word.
192.
193, sorry. 193 in the Hebrew.
Which one? Hebrew.
What? The middle, it's the second paragraph.
Al-Hadisi.
Got it? Got the place? Right here? Got it? Sing along so you learn the words. What does it mean?
We thank
On the miracles.
for the miracles of redemption.
Porka. What's Porka? Redemption. Right? Nisan is miracles. What's Porka? Redemption. Redemption. Nisan is miracles. Porka? Gvurot. What's Gvurot? Mighty deeds. Teshuot? Salvation. Follow along the Hebrew words. Gvurot. When do we say this?
On the day of
Hanukkah.
Also Hanukkah, but also Purim. The day of Purim. The day of Purim, when does the day of Purim start?
14th of Adar.
14th of Adar. Only in Jerusalem is it on the 15th. And the walled cities. 14th of Adar, what time does it start?
At night. After sunset.
At night, after sundown, right? We say, that means, well, the first prayer in which we say, open it up again, we're going to use it. The first prayer in which we say, Al Hanisim is going to be which one? Amidah of which one? Mariv, that's right. In Mariv we say the Al Hanisim. And then again?
In the morning.
In the morning? For Shacharit. And then again?
In the meals.
In Mincha. And then again?
Birkat Hamazon.
Birkat Hamazon. Very good. Next. What does it? The next paragraph say?
Oh no.
Read it. Iyov Yosef. Bimei Mordechai. Read it in Hebrew.
In the
Got to work on your Hebrew.
In the days of Mordechai and Esther in Shushan, the capital, the wicked Haman rose up against them and sought to destroy, slay, and exterminate all the Jews, young and old, children and women, on one day, the 13th of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, and to plunder their possessions. Then you, in your great compassion, thwarted this. His counsel frustrated his plans and caused his scheme to recoil on his own head, so that they hanged him and his sons on the gallows.
You know what that's called?
Midat.
V'nahafochu. V'nahafochu. Right? What does that mean? What does that mean, v'nahafochu?
Flipping over.
And it got flipped over. Hafuch, the opposite. V'nahafochu. You ready? Do you know have the words? Open up your notes.
What's Gamul?
Gemulo is his to pay him back. The Gemol is to give. So he gave him back. V'nahafoch. 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 Nahafochu hayayay asher yishletu hayehudi ema beson ehem asher yishletu hayehudi ema beson ehem Mishe, 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 Nichnas Adar. Mishe, 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 Nichnas Adar. Yeah. V'nahafoch, v'nahafochu. Asher yishletu hayehudim v'nahafoch